the super speedway.
The rocker panel just caught on fire. It's, we just keep letting cars burn up, letting people crash into stuff, get hurt. Like, we don't fix anything. And now we just riding around out there and the car catches on fire, so just shitty parts.
Your attitude at this point, obviously, I mean, you've been frustrated anyway, but now it affects the race in the playoff.
Well, they don't care. It's cheaper to not fix it. Find somebody to run the show that can run it.
Welcome to episode 252 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Tuesday, September 6, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. You know, we could do the same thing, James. Find someone who knows what they're doing to run the show and let them run it.
Yeah. Yeah, we could, but, you know, just like Kevin Harvick, we were overstaying our welcome.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Oh, Spicy Kevin's back. Gotta
I
love it. Gotta love it.
Well, he had a reason to be spicy.
This has been building too. I mean, at Michigan, he went on a long talk with Claire B. Lang in the media center, and he did it again at the at media day on Thursday. And this has been building for quite some time. He let it slip on Thursday that he did some blood tests involving fumes in the car that he sent to NASCAR like 3 years ago that he says he never heard anything back on. So yeah,
Man,
this has been building.
I don't mean to laugh, but good Lord. Like, well, and he's got a grave. I mean, what?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But, I don't, that's not where I want to start, man.
No, right?
I don't want to start with being all mad at NASCAR because we had Eric.
Yeah, we'll get back to Harvick.
You were there, and you witnessed probably one of the best races of the year, maybe the best weekend of the year combined. That was phenomenal.
Yeah,
from start to finish.
I mean, yeah, the Xfinity Series kicked it off on Saturday with a hell of a finish. And then the Cup Series did not disappoint at all. I mean, James, you know, I figured we'd come on this podcast and talk about the couple of playoff drivers that had issues. But the list is so long that it takes up the first half of our notes.
Yes.
It's pretty incredible. But I guess before we get to that, it was a non-playoff driver that played spoiler on this one. And finally, that Jones boy, man, got in victory lane.
Eric, I am doing a fist pump as you speak.
My hands were in the air as well. Eric Jones gets the 43 car back in victory lane. You know, props to Eric Jones. He's had an incredible season. He's really been able to propel this team. You know, and this car has helped. And don't get me wrong. You know, I think it was Matt Weaver or it was Jordan Bianchi who tweeted out this week that, or after the race, that, you know, we need to realize, like, Richard Petty's getting a lot of credit for this, but this is not Richard Petty's team.
This is GMS.
This is a GMS team. This is a brand new team. We're talking same category as Trackhouse, same category as 2311. This is a brand new startup team that happens to have the 43 car and some members from the old 43 team on it.
Yep.
So that even makes it more incredible what they've been able to put together. But don't get me wrong. Eric Jones ran a good race. He was where he needed to be, but he was not the guy that was going to win this race.
No.
I mean, there were two cars ahead of him that happened to have trouble within the same 5 laps, essentially.
Yes.
That gave him the chance for this win. And I mean, he held off Denny Hamlin. I mean, arguably the best driver at Darlington, probably, to get the win. But you can't talk about the Eric Jones win without talking about the other two who ended up out of it. To allow Jones the chance to race for it. But let's dwell on Jones for a minute. The coolest thing, I think, is the first thing he said when he got out of the car is, "I get a hat."
Us people from Michigan, you know, we don't ask a lot. Right? That's all we really need. A hat, maybe some cold beer, and a victory lane.
Yeah.
So,
if you missed it, he apparently Richard promised him, and apparently Richard didn't remember promising him that if he won a race, he'd get one of Richard's hats, or a hat like Richard's, custom hat, and they made good on it today. He got it at the shop today. So
well, he got a mini hat first.
Yeah, that was good. That was funny.
Yeah. Eric, I was gonna tell you, that last restart, you know, I just I was concerned because Denny Hamlin was right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this guy, he's going to be, you know, it seems like it was setting up for Denny Hamlin. Like, this is going to be a great race for Eric Jones. He'll get a top 5.
Yep.
I
felt the same way. Felt the exact same way.
But, I mean, I've rewatched that restart, I think 4 or 5 times. And Eric just took him and Tyler Wright. He took the field to school on that restart. It was just incredible. Like, it was like he shot out of a cannon, and it was timed perfectly. And, you know, it's just a testament to his skill as a driver. I mean, he didn't forget how to win a race, and he said as much after the race. He said how calm he was in the car, just a cool customer. And man, I was so impressed. And then the whole time I'm like, okay, Denny's tracking him down. I felt like he, you know, but Denny,
20 laps, man, that's such a long time, and you just
to hold off Hamlin. You know,
saw Denny, you saw him close in, and he'd be right there, and I figured it was coming in turn 3 on the last lap. Yeah, I thought for sure it was coming, and just, you know, Denny raced him clean. I think
it's smart too. I felt.
Yeah, you know, well, that's the thing. You're Denny Hamlin. You're racing a non-playoff driver. Eric Jones doesn't, you know, lend me as one of those guys that's going to come back and wreck you back. But at the same time, Eric Jones isn't one of those guys that's going to wreck you to get a win either.
Yeah.
And so why would you possibly create an enemy in the first race of the playoffs when you're so good because everybody else has struggled in that race?
Yep. Everybody had problems. You're sitting pretty, you know.
We know Denny's not afraid to do it. He wrecked Chase Elliott back in the day, but Denny got so much flack for that too.
Yeah.
That, I mean, if Ross Chastain would have been behind Eric Jones in this race, Ross Chastain would have wrecked him.
Oh, for sure.
You know, Chastain was going for that win, but Denny raced him nice and clean. I think he certainly had the opportunity to get there and put a bumper to him. Yeah. But with this car, you don't know what's going to happen anyway. You know, it's not a foregone conclusion. You're going to spin them out. I mean, this was a completely different race with this car on this track than it was earlier in the season. I think we're going to see that as we return to every racetrack this year.
Yep.
They've learned so much. I went back and before the race Sunday, I had a ton of time sitting in the press box, and because it was raining and I didn't want to sit outside in the rain. And so I rewatched the extended highlights from the race earlier this season, and yeah, it just completely different. It blew my mind how much stuff we were still learning about the car back then, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna see that. We're gonna see that this weekend at Kansas when we go there. Yep. It's gonna be the same thing. Yeah, it's a completely different deal.
Yep. Yep, and you know, I will add. You know, I know we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long night tonight, guys.
So, I you know, to close out maybe the Eric Jones portion.
Yeah.
This solidified him. He's my favorite driver. I think.
It's
not. I think I messaged you like I haven't jumped off my chair and cheered and cheered for a guy to win a race in a long time. Normally, I just kind of watch the race and you know I enjoy it, and you know guys I like will come and go. You know. Like, yeah, I'll root for William Byron when he's up there, and Bubba, and you know a handful of others. But I was like passionately like, "Come on, man, like hold him off, come on!" And it just took me back to why I'm a fan in the first place. I really really enjoyed watching Eric pull this one off. And I don't know about you, Eric, but if NASCAR gods do exist, or if the racing gods do exist, they sprinkled some karma all over Joe Gibbs Racing to put Eric Jones into position to finally get a little bit of payback. You know?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I mean, and Eric was very gracious in the media center after the race. He wasn't, you know, he was calm. He was comfortable. This is a guy. This is what his third win, right? Third.
Yep. This would be his second Southern 500. Which,
but I mean,
a lot of guys don't have Southern 500.
It's his third win, and it's been a while since he won last. He didn't come in there as a guy that, oh my God, I just won a race. He came in there as a guy that this is what he should be doing.
Yep. And
it was a different attitude than what, you know, I mean, when I was in the media center when Clint Boyer won at Michigan, when he won his last race, you know, I've seen these guys come in that maybe haven't won a ton of races. Yeah. And they're just all pumped up and crazy. And Eric, I mean, Eric's not as excitable as those guys anyway. But just, I mean, he looked like a winner. I mean, he really did look like a winner.
I just, and it came full circle for, I think, both of us, Eric, because we've been, we have a lot of ties to Eric Jones, but we felt wronged for him,
right.
When he got let go of the 20 ride, and we've been saying, like, this guy can do this. He can win these races. He can pull, he can pull some things off, but sometimes NASCAR is not always about winning races. It's about, what can you do with the equipment you've got? We've seen, an extreme example is Corey LaJoie. He will put together some really good runs and really smart races. And, what Eric Jones has done with that 43 team is he's just stable. And we talked about it when he got his contract extension earlier this year. Now they know they've got this young superstar level talent in the seat for a long time. They can really build around him. And now he's got him in victory lane. Like, he's made them a winner. Yeah. And it's just, that's gonna, I don't know, man. It's good karma. It's good mojo. Whatever cliche you want to put on it. But it's definitely, this team has been right there. I mean, they've had chances to make the playoffs this year a couple of times. Jones has had chances to win, and just it didn't work out for him. But, I don't think he's worried about not making the playoffs or anything like that. This team is just continually improving, and they faded a little bit, but this is a culmination for the year for them. A great first step, in what Page EMS can hopefully become.
Well, and a good point there too, and that was one of the things too, is he didn't come in like, oh man, I wish we'd have done this a week earlier. But I mean, they wish they'd have been in the playoffs, but he didn't come in down that they didn't make that cut. I mean, this is all about building this team. And he knows that, and it certainly showed in his post-race interviews. We're gonna pound out some post-race audio here in a second, but you mentioned Corey LaJoie, and I wanted to mention before we forget, Corey LaJoie finished 24th in this race, but at one point in the race they stayed out and started up front, and I was thinking it was going to be one of those Rick Ware situations where they wreck half the field. And Corey LaJoie, man, he hung in there in second for a while, and hung in the top 10 for a while. Like, it was incredible what he was able to do up there.
Yep.
It was cool to see. So
lots of comers and goers, and it was a wild, crazy race for a lot of different reasons. But you look at the finishing order a little bit, and I mean, Michael McDowell, Brad Keselowski, they haven't had the best of seasons. Yeah. It was nice to see. Bubba Wallace ran really strong all day. Alex Bowman, he needed a good run. So with some of the wild comings and goings from some of our championship contenders, we got some fresh faces up there sneaking into the top 10. So,
let's get into some driver audio, and then we'll run through the playoff drivers that struggled in this one. We'll start with Eric Jones. In the media center after the race, he was asked what it was like to show what he feels about being a Southern 500 winner twice.
Jeez, it's like asking me to be braggadocious about this, man. I mean, I just really like this track. There's tracks as a driver that you're really comfortable at, feel really good about. And Darlington's one of those places for me. Here, Bristol, there's a handful of tracks in the Cup Series for me that I know going into it, if the car's, close and good, we can have a shot to win. And this weekend was no different. I knew we had a good car coming into it. I knew we've made some good gains and had a shot to go and run up front. I'm blessed to win this race twice. Like you said, there's guys that have never won this race, very successful guys, and that's such a cool trophy. I kept that one in my house for a long time, the last time I won it, just to see those faces and those names. That's pretty special for me to be on, and I've been a big fan of the history of the sport for all my life as a kid growing up, and even until today. But just love this place, love the racing here. I love this race specifically. I feel like when we started coming here in the spring, I run okay in the spring race. I feel like we're always a top 10 car, but this is the race that I always have circled, from the length of it to the transition from day to night. Just every bit of it I love.
I apologize for the crappy audio. The NASCAR had their levels cranked in the media center. This is NASCAR's recording, not mine, so apologize for that. Eric Jones also was asked about, you mentioned the Joe Gibbs situation, about how interesting he found it to be racing around the JGR cars and having the JGR cars having trouble in front of him at the end.
Yeah, it was funny. At one point, we were in the top 5 with 4 other, JGR cars, and so I was kind of laughing. I mean, but it's cool to get to go up there and race against those guys. And, you know, at the end of the day, they gave me a great home for whatever it was, 3 years. And I had a great time there. I learned a ton. And what I've learned there is what I've brought with me to this camp the last 2 years. And without that experience, I don't know that we would have ever built to this point, you know, to be totally honest with you. So I'm always thankful for what they did for me in my career early on. Through trucks, Xfinity, early in Cup, and like I totally believe that without them, I wouldn't have been at this point. But yeah, it was kind of funny, you know, getting to go up against those guys at the end. And when Kyle was sitting in front of me before he blew up, I was like, man, it's just like 3 years ago, raced against you for this one last time, and I was hoping to get to do it again. And you know, Kyle has meant a lot to my career, so I was looking forward to getting to go up against him.
And that just kind of shows you what type of person Eric Jones is. I mean, he could have easily, you know, taken a shot at JGR, taken a shot at those guys. And no, he talks about how gracious he was for being a part of that organization. Mm-hmm. So just a cool dude, man. It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people forget how Eric Jones made his Cup Series debut.
Yeah.
Basically, well, we're going to the track he made his debut on in Kansas, and he drove the 18 car for Kyle Busch as a super sub.
Yep.
So it means a lot. I mean, it's crazy, you know, that not many other people have driven the 18 car.
Not only career. That, but I mean, Kyle
Jones
discovered him at the Snowball Derby when he beat him. So
that's right. Yep. And put him in his truck for a long time, and that's where I got to wave the green flag. At
rub that in.
Still makes you mad.
Rub that in, man. That's such a sore spot. I was so nice to you that day, not arguing with you for that little pass.
You did. You were very nice. Very kind.
I wanted it so bad.
Someday.
There's so much resentment still to this day.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize.
So I had a chance to I didn't talk to Denny Hamlin on pit road, but I was on pit road and got to overhear what he had to say about racing with Eric Jones at the end. Here's what Denny had to say.
Eric's just a great competitor, great driver. You know, he performs really well, and he's certainly well deserving. I think he's won this race in the 20 car before, so it's no surprise from the competitor standpoint. Eric drives this track extremely well and was a very deserving winner today.
When everyone's on fresh tires, is it more of a track position situation?
Yeah, you just can't. I mean, you know, not to make excuses, you just can't pass. No one's making passes inside 15 to go when everyone's got new tires. There's just not enough lap time fall off. It's not like the Xfinity. I looked yesterday, and in the last 15 lap run, they had 2.5 seconds to fall off. So, you know, we had a second or something like that. So there's just too much on throttle time to really capitalize. And I almost got there. I needed, you know, maybe a few more laps, but just not enough. It's too hard.
NASCAR was nice enough to shoot off fireworks during our talk with Denny Hamlin too, so most of the interview is fireworks going off in the background.
Their timing for fireworks was something, man.
Yeah. I thought the timing for the opening fireworks at the beginning of the race was pretty awesome. Maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe they were supposed to go off earlier than the first lap of the race, but I thought it was great. I liked that. Had a chance to talk to Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick finished third place in this one. Here's what Tyler had to say. Tyler, tell me about your night.
Wasn't a bad finish. It was coming up and down night. We couldn't really seem to get our car turning a little bit better without disconnecting the rear of it. So you know, we just tried a few different things and it didn't really seem to help. So we just kind of, you know, cut our losses, realized what we had, and just try and have good pit stops, work some strategy, and gain track position. So we got fortunate in that, and we did, and just kind of worked out in a way that we were able to get up there towards the end and have a shot at it.
It's not a win tonight, but it's got to feel like a little bit of a win with all the trouble that so many of the playoff drivers had. You guys didn't struggle with that. How does it feel to have kind of an edge going into the next couple of races in the first round?
I mean, I don't believe there's an edge. We just had a good night. You know, it's going to take two more really good nights the next, 2 weekends, and then it'll all start over again the next round. So, I mean, it was just a good night. I don't really look as like an edge. We're going to reset and go to Kansas and do this all again.
How do you feel about the next two races?
Kansas is really good. We were strong there like we've been here, and Bristol is just an unknown. Bristol's been good to us and a lot of different cars, me and Randall Burnett. So yeah, we'll just see what Bristol turns out to be.
You can see Tyler's got a lot of question. I think a lot of the drivers have a lot of question of what this car is going to be like at Bristol, because I would call Bristol a track that you'd expect Tyler to run well at, but not sure what he's going to do with this car. He was visibly disappointed. I think he really saw this as an opportunity in this race, and was very disappointed he didn't get it done.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because I think too, you got to think they've got a little bit better stuff than the 43 and GMS.
Yeah.
And he had to, restarting on the front row, especially when Kyle went out. I mean, that opened the door for basically everybody.
Right.
Had a shot at that point, and he's just got to not be kicking himself. He definitely was trying to play. You can tell he's trying to play it off, but this isn't that big of a deal.
Right.
But, these opportunities, they're not gonna continue to bubble up for them. And he's got to capitalize on every single thing. And credit to Tyler Reddick, he does that. He finds ways to get the best out of his stuff, quite often. So to know that there's a little bit more out there, he's got to be thinking that if he could have gotten out front there in that last restart, he could have done exactly what Eric Jones did.
Yeah, for sure. For anybody watching the race, Tyler was sporting a Noah Gregson / Tim Richmond style Fu Manchu mustache for this one as well. The first I saw it was him walking up on pit road. It was a little awkward. He did announce yesterday on social media that's going away. So
he tried to do the Chase Elliott, but I don't know. I mean, Chase is still trying to rock that thing,
right?
I don't know.
Joey Logano was able to place 4th place in this one. Led 64 laps on the day. So good run for Joey. Here's what he had to say.
Really hard to come up through the field here. Really hard to pass. And, was able to kind of battle back and get a top 5 out of it, which is okay. Right? I mean, you got to be happy about it because we scored a lot of points, and that's what it's all about here in the first round. But also missed opportunity to win the Southern 500, and I really want that one. So that one stings a little bit because I think we were better than the cars in front of us if we had the air, right? If we were able to stay towards the front, we can tune to cleaner air instead of going in the back and trying to tune to dirty air. So just set ourselves back too far.
They asked Joey on pit road about Eric Jones winning, and he had some nice things to say about Eric Jones and winning this race and how important this race was. And then somebody reminded him that it was the second win in the Southern 500. And Joey was like, "Oh, maybe I'm not so happy for him." So,
yeah, that was. We'll get to that. I got a comment about people not getting things right. But yeah, that's pretty good. Joey sneaking out of here, Eric, points leader. After all those troubles, he's got to be feeling pretty good. Going ahead for the rest of this round.
Yeah,
we know he's good at Bristol. Pretty decent at Bristol, and he'll be good at Kansas. So I think they're probably thrilled with how this race turned out for themselves. But it's not a huge gap when you think about it. So
no.
So Joey's got some work to do yet, but got to be happy with the way this turned out.
The only gap that was there was he raced this week, and we'll get to that in a minute.
That's right.
Before we get there, let's hit the last piece of audio. Christopher Bell was our 5th place finisher. Had a chance to chat with him for a minute on pit road.
With all the other playoff drivers having trouble tonight, it has to feel at least pretty good to be, at the top end of the playoff drivers, right?
Yeah, it feels good, but we need this much more. We just never really contended for the win, and so that's what we're focused on going to Kansas.
What do you need to do, going forward, and what do you think of the next couple tracks here in this round?
It should be good. I think we just keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully we can find this much more in either the car or the driver, and I think we'll be competing for the wins. But Kansas and Bristol should both be good.
There you go. There's your top 5 finishers from Darlington in the Southern 500. Worth going over the issues that playoff drivers had, James, I think, because that was kind of the storyline of this race.
Get the book out because we got a long list to go here. So.
Yeah, right. So let's start here. Is there a better race to start the playoffs than Darlington?
It seems to be a very comfortable home because we got ourselves a little shakeup here.
Dude, it was terrific. I mean, in this new car, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. What happened to Kevin sucks, but having some attrition because of parts issues, I can't complain about that. I saw somebody complained on Twitter about it and about these parts failures affecting the playoffs, and I just said, hey man, this is Southern 500. This used to happen all the time. We need this in the sport, and they said, yeah, you're right. I got that. So, let's go down the list of playoff drivers. Chase Elliott was the first one to get into trouble. Rex spins out on his own, finishes last, only earns 1 point on the race, manages to take Chase Briscoe with him in the crash as well. But Briscoe was struggling early throughout the entire first run. Briscoe was able to muster a 27th place finish after this impact. But Chase Elliott got to test the old extended damaged vehicle policy, and it wasn't enough for him to replace all the broken parts on the back of that car.
Yep, ran it right to 10 minutes, and that was the end of his day. We didn't get to touch on that last week, and this was the first that we saw of it. After the podcast came out, NASCAR did change that rule, but this was shocking. Might be too strong of a word.
No, I think it was shocking because this was a race I expected Chase to be good in.
They were terrible off the truck.
That's the thing, is they weren't good in practice, they weren't good in qualifying, and they just never were good.
And everybody wants to put him in as the favorite. Well,
not anymore.
Those expectations, I mean, listen, he's got to get through this first round.
Yeah.
Bristol's he's good at Bristol, but that's not not necessarily the safest place to race when you're trying to salvage points. So, the good thing for Chase is these first couple of rounds, he gets a mulligan every round.
Yep.
He can have this is the extreme last place finish. This is why you win that regular season championship.
Exactly.
And now he's looking at he's up 14 points, but he dropped 8 spots in the standings. He goes out and he has a good Kansas and a good Bristol, he'll be just fine. But this is pushing that theory right to the extreme, because I can't imagine our regular season champion being eliminated in the first round, especially with the points advantage he has.
But it certainly could happen, and it's definitely closer to happening here. I mean, we talked going into these playoffs that we didn't have quite the advantage going in with anybody like we have in the past, but Chase was certainly the most comfortable. And I mean, we learned a couple years ago when Harvick didn't make the final round how comfortable can you really be with this format. But definitely a shocker to see Chase struggle as much in this one as he did. And like you said, I mean, without the wreck, they were struggling. They just were bad this weekend.
Yep.
These aren't necessarily the order that they happen, mostly order from the bottom of the finishing order. Kevin Harvick's next on our list, finishes 33rd after catching on fire randomly. You heard the audio clip at the beginning of the show, thanks to Noah Lewis for me borrowing that clip from him. I mean...
Running in 5th, too, by the way. A good day. Was going to have especially with everybody else having problems, he was going to be in a nice spot for the points, and just randomly caught fire. And not happy about it, and his crew chief Rodney Childers not happy about it either. I think they've got a valid point.
Now,
I'd not be happy.
I drove 13 and a half hours home yesterday with Sirius satellite radio and NASCAR radio on all day long. And I heard about approximately 8,700 people talk about this particular moment and offer all kinds of opinions on what could be causing it, what's not causing it, whether it's as big of a problem as Harvick says it is, whether it's not, whether NASCAR's listening, whether NASCAR's not. We don't need to go into all of that. But, first of all, this guy just got out of a burning race car. I mean, he literally just got out of a burning race car. And so to expect him to say anything politely is, you don't know who you're talking to with Kevin Harvick. But I think, I have a little bit of an issue with Harvick in that he keeps saying that, well, they don't listen, so I'm not going to go to them. And he's trying to do it through the media. And I do get a feeling that there's probably, Kevin Harvick's a senior member of the NASCAR drivers. I mean, you would think that he could walk and knock on Steve O'Donnell's door and Steve O'Donnell's going to talk to him. So I feel like Harvick's playing the victim a little bit here, and maybe basing it on past leadership, which maybe we don't have that anymore now. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's tried that and it hasn't worked. But everybody wants to jump on NASCAR right now, and I don't want to sit here and defend NASCAR too much, but NASCAR has made changes to this car. This car has had changes made, and the way it works now with them having to get all the parts from the same place, it's not as easy as just making a change. Every change you make, you need to make sure it makes sense. Otherwise, you're costing these teams a bunch of money for nothing.
Yep.
So I don't think it's right to say NASCAR is just sitting on their hands and not doing anything. I think they're very aware that there's an issue, and I think they are working towards it. Now, NASCAR's problem is that they don't meet with the media every week. The media doesn't get a chance to ask them questions. The media doesn't get to talk to them in the bullpen. The media they don't issue press releases talking about this stuff. So I know Scott Miller was supposed to be on Sirius this morning. I didn't get a chance to listen to it. I don't know what he had to say. But I think NASCAR is once again in a PR problem here, that they need to say something and respond to these accusations, rather than let Kevin continue to go on this rampage against him.
Yeah, well, and I'll take Kevin's perspective here. It's not. I wouldn't even say it's accusations. I'd say it's fact.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. His car just burst into flames. I mean, I don't.
Yes, and he's mad.
He has a right, and Kurt Busch is out with an injury, and Denny Hamlin was banged up after Daytona. I get it. I totally agree.
Yes.
Harvick's not wrong. I just think that I'm not saying Harvick's being too critical on NASCAR. I think some of the other people are being too critical on NASCAR.
Yeah, I would agree with that to a point. I just also think that NASCAR doesn't, like, I think you said it best. NASCAR doesn't do a good job of, making sure that they are that they're curving what's going on and what's being said in the media. They kind of just let it run rampant.
NASCAR has a PR department, James, and instead of responding to these types of issues, they're putting out posts announcing drivers in their first time in the playoffs that have been in the playoffs before. So,
dang it!
I almost asked Tyler Reddick that on pit road, like what he thought about being.
I know. I tweeted at him and he wouldn't even let me. Wouldn't even tweet it. But yeah, I get it's understandable why, and too, Eric. I think what we have here too. You mentioned that Harvick is a senior member of the field now. I think the common thing that we're seeing, we've got Kurt Busch hurt. He's in his 40s.
Yep.
Denny Hamlin sore, beat up, had to set out the Xfinity Series race. He's in his 40s. Kevin Harvick's car just caught on fire. He's in his mid to late 40s. They don't want to take the big hits at this stage. They're almost done. They've made a whole career out of not really getting hurt. And some of the younger guys might feel invincible. I mean, Kevin Harvick remembers hitting concrete.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys in the Cup Series haven't hit concrete.
Well, and he says he hasn't hit like he's hitting now since he hit concrete. So
yep. So I feel like NASCAR needs to definitely pay attention to what these guys are saying. And you're right, it's not a fast fix, and the sport seems like the sport can't just stop. But I really hope that we have a lot of these things in motion to be fixed before we get to next season. We got to get working on it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I know Joey Logano has voiced his opinion on some things that can
Joey
be done.
has been very understanding of NASCAR's situation, though. I will say, Joey has very much said, he's very much said that he understands where they're at too. So yeah. I think Joey's definitely taking the more middle
diplomatic?
of the line. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
The more diplomatic way of, and I mean, Harvick's never been diplomatic, so we don't expect that from him. This is Harvick. I mean, it's what you get with Kevin, and we don't want him to change. I mean,
well, right. And the other thing we should mention with Kevin Harvick too, Eric, before we go on.
Yeah.
Why aren't we throwing the yellow flag before he's out of his car?
So I have a comment on that because
let's talk about it because I was pretty mad.
I was at the track, James, and I don't think there was the delay. I agree they should have thrown. So here's the thing: NASCAR needs to stop listening to people bitch. That's what they need to do. They need to stop listening to people bitch on social media because the problem is that NASCAR throws a caution for something early, and it ends up not needing a caution. And everybody throws a fit. Oh, NASCAR's just throwing cautions for anything. And then so NASCAR holds the caution, and then something happens, like everybody wrecks into turn one at Daytona in the rain, or Kevin Harvick has to bail out of his car while the race is still green, and everybody goes, whoa, why didn't they throw the caution earlier? Shut up. Let NASCAR do their thing, and NASCAR needs to throw the caution when it's necessary to throw a caution. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, that being said, I was at the track. I didn't have the lights in front of me. I was watching the TV feed, but I had the track feed, which is what's up on the big screens at the track, and they have the big, large, standings up at the top, and it shows when the caution comes on. And I wasn't paying attention to it at the time as much as the fact that Kevin Harvick was in flames, but I swear that caution came on that screen significantly early. It was like before the car was stopped. I know the TV broadcast it didn't, but that caution indicator on the TV broadcast is not official at all. It's always delayed.
Yes.
So I think the caution came out quicker than what people think it did. However, yeah, I mean, when the car's on fire, they should throw the caution, period, because he's probably dropping stuff.
Yeah, he's dropping stuff. He's trying to get out of the car. That's the thing. Like, the car's on fire. You can't be in there.
Right.
You're breathing in stuff. Your seatbelt's unbuckled. You're not safe.
And there's fire in the cockpit. I mean, you can see it on the replay.
And god dang it, he had time to get out of his car and get over the wall, and before the safety crew was there, which
not only that, but then they get out and they're all standing around
he's not there,
holding fire extinguishers, like deciding, well, should we spray it on it or not? That was the thing I got. Like, holy crap, how long does it take you to freaking turn the fire extinguisher on?
Unbelievable.
And then I will say Harvick tweeted the next day. He just tweeted, did anybody throw the caution yet?
Yep, he did. Yeah, that was good. Yep.
I love Kevin. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I think 90% of our race control problems could be solved if NASCAR would just quit listening to people bitch.
Yep.
They are trying too hard to please the people that complain on Twitter. And you will never please those people because they're only there. The Nick Brombergs, yep, I said it, are only there to complain. That's it.
Yep. Not the hero we want, Eric. The hero we need.
Yeah.
He's the hero we need.
Continuing on, man, we're not even halfway through the list of playoff drivers.
Let's go, baby. Let's rip them out. Let's go.
How about Kyle Busch leading the race, 20 to go, under caution, and all of a sudden smoke starts billowing out from underneath the car. Dominating. You're right. How many laps did he lead?
155.
Jeez, yeah, 367 lap race, 155.
Won a stage. 25 points total on the day. He was running good.
This place. So James, on Wednesday,
they were
Wednesday night. I was at North Wilkesboro when Dale Earnhardt Jr. did his Polish victory lap after the race, and that place went wild and it was loud. It was not as loud as Darlington when Kyle Busch blew up.
Oh my God!
Holy cow, man! Holy cow!
Oh, he's gotta love it.
Oh, it was incredible. And we're all going. I was standing on a platform in turn one when it happened, listening to the TV broadcast, and all of a sudden they start going crazy on the broadcast. The fans start cheering, and oh man, it was a moment.
Oh man,
I got video of him rolling by with smoke billowing out.
Did he miss a shift? Is that the
somebody
consensus?
said? Denny said something about him missing a shift. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I've not heard anything official.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but I was wondering if you had any insight on that. But I don't think that's what happened because lots of guys were having problems.
Right.
So
I think what happened is it's a 500-mile race on a grueling racetrack.
Yep.
With a new car, you know?
Yep.
I mean, this is only the second time we've run this car this long, you know?
Yep.
I mean, yeah, we've run 500 milers, but this is the second longest race of the year, the Coke 600 time wise. So,
yeah, man, what a moment! Because I walked away for a minute and came back, and I'm like, "What the hell happened to Kyle?" And I rewound it, and I'm like, "Well, dang."
Well, as soon as Truex went out, which Truex we mentioned in the notes here. He had a belt issue while leading too, which took him out of the race. Not included in the playoff drivers because obviously he's not in the playoffs. But when Truex went out, I'm like, oh man, that's it. This is Kyle's race. Kyle's got this sucker.
Yep.
And then when that happened, it's like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. And I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, Kyle's hinted that the announcement's coming. He's gonna win this race. He's gonna go in the media center. He's gonna say, well, this is my plan for next year. I'm staying put or I'm leaving, whatever. And instead we got. I mean, pretty polite Kyle outside of his hauler after the race, considering what just happened.
Yeah, he's
been humbled this year. He
yeah,
really
there's
has.
a lot going on. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and this doesn't help.
This dude cannot get any by any luck.
He's had, between the stuff at the Mall of America too,
Dude.
And everything else, he's had a wild year.
And that's why I think he's going to win the championship.
Well, they welcomed a daughter too. Like,
right.
That was a whole battle, and then there's the contract stuff.
But these are the type
wild.
of years that he excels. So just watch. Just watch.
Right.
And I didn't confirm this myself, but according to the 700 times I heard it on Sirius yesterday, he is the only driver in the playoff battle that did not improve or unimprove his position in the standings. He is in the same spot as he was going into this race.
Yep.
Ross Chastain was also had issues in this one. He had an issue with the drive pins on one of the tires or on one of the wheels. Ended up finishing 20th after a couple of pit stops here. I listened to him on the radio. They didn't know what was wrong. They tried to hang it out there. He couldn't run full throttle. He was having trouble. The car was crab walking. And so they brought it in and discovered this issue, which I don't think ever resolved itself throughout the race. But yeah, 20th place finish, not terrible considering what happened, but
yeah, just a rough, that was, I completely forgot about his problems because everybody else had so many problems.
Right. Well, I mean, and Daniel Suarez kicked it off on the weekend by failing to get through tech. Took 3 attempts to get through, so had to do a pass through at the beginning of the race. Started down a lap as a result and immediately got a caution 6 laps into the race to get him the free pass and back on the lead lap. And I think he was 4th when he sped on pit road, wasn't he? He was right up front.
Yeah, he was running. Yeah, he crawled his way back.
Yeah. It took the first stage was slow. He was slow and methodical in the first stage. But yeah, he was up toward the front and one of the last pit stops, speeds on pit road. And ends up knocking him back, and I finished 18th on the day.
Yeah.
So
he's not destroyed by what happened on Sunday. He definitely made it hard on themselves, but he is above the cut line, so there's that.
Well, he was pissed at Christopher Bell after the race.
Oh boy, was he? Yeah.
He says Christopher Bell's got one coming.
Well, there's some guys who got one coming. So add that to the list. So.
Yeah. How about Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney? Did you see
Joey.
That deal? Joey he just chopped him.
Joey doesn't care.
No,
about
he doesn't.
He just I guess he'll do his laugh and then they'll be buddies again on at Kansas.
Yeah, short track racing.
There you go. Yeah.
That's ready for it.
Yeah, I tried to lead you into it. But if I was Blaney, I wouldn't be too pleased with my teammate after that.
There were a couple moments that Blaney was pretty pissed off in this race, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, he was on the radio a couple of times, and he actually had a fairly uneventful day compared to most.
You know what, though? What I'm going to say, and this is going to upset some Blaney fans, but it's his own fault.
Well,
it's his own fault, James. He will not race anybody hard. He races too nice.
That might be, and maybe Joey knows that better than anybody.
He has a 1990s mindset, and he needs to get out of it, or he's never going to win a significant number of races. He's never going to contend for a championship because he just is not willing to put the elbows up and run like he needs to.
And that being said, we're talking like this, but that being said, he came out of the day very good, and he's no longer on the bubble for being cut.
Yeah, true.
I guess you take what you can get in that sense, but I agree with you. There's definitely a reason he's not winning races.
He's too nice.
The
aggression level has gone up.
That's not a bad theory.
The aggression level has gone up, and it just has not for him. It's just the aggression level's passed him over the last 2 years.
Well, he should consider himself fortunate to be in the playoffs, and he's a guy we've seen him get hot, and I'd love to see him get hot and make a run here because I think he'd be a great ambassador for the sport if he could get it all the way around. But
I'd love to see him get mad and stop being so damn nice.
Yeah, I'd love to see him get mad.
Yeah.
We've seen Chase Elliott finally get mad. Maybe Ryan's not at the breaking point just yet.
I don't know what else it's going to take because he is getting pushed around like nothing else. I mean, it's something. Kyle Larson also had issues in this race, plenty of issues. Had some sort of engine or electrical issue that managed to fix itself. He spun, which could be argued maybe wasn't all on accident.
I don't know about that.
It certainly benefited him, but
I don't know, man. That's a pretty dangerous spot.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if it was at Martinsville, maybe, but
I agree. But
know.
it's a little fishy. But managed to come back to 12th place, finish 12th place in this thing, James.
And he had a pit issue late.
Yeah.
They had a lug nut problem.
Yeah, he'd have been better if they wouldn't have had to come back in. I'm going to say it right now. This is when Kyle Larson wins the championship at the end of this season, we're going to look back at this race. And we're going to go, this is the race that won him the championship. This is a Jimmy Johnson-esque performance right here.
Yep. And this was what he did at the Roval last year. That team does not quit. That they just...
Well, he did it Saturday night, too, in the Xfinity race.
Yeah, and I question Kyle even coming down pit road. But he's a professional race car driver. He knows more about these things than I do. This wasn't a great day. Obviously, he didn't get any stage points or anything. But man, to salvage after all that, I mean, he was 3-4 laps down all day long.
Yep.
And found a way to. He should have been in the top 10. I mean, you and I were messaging about that.
Yeah.
That he was going to get into the top 10, and by God, he almost did it. So.
I thought he raced for the win.
He
thought
raced
for sure
really
he'd get up there.
good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a workman's effort for sure. So they should be proud of that effort. They got to not do that again though, because they can't be giving points away.
Nope. And then William Byron, I included him on the list. Don't know that he actually had a problem. Certainly said that the tone of the motor changed. They think it might have had something to do with intake, or at least that's what they diagnosed during the race. Certainly didn't seem to hurt the car any. He did. Didn't he win stage 2?
He won stage
1. That's right. Stage 1. Finishes 8th place. So I mean, not a bad day by any means for William Byron. But just add him to the list. It's playoff drivers that had trouble in this one, or at least had some sort of adversity to overcome.
Yep.
And that's it, man. That's a list. I'll tell you.
That is a list. That's a full list. William Byron scored the most points in this race, by the way.
Yeah.
Tied with Eric Jones. But yeah, that was a weird one too. And maybe that's something with all the Hendrick cars. We didn't really get a chance to see Chase Elliott have any engine problems because he didn't race long enough. So.
Yeah, I will say, James, that I am very much in favor of tracks having a single date in the Cup Series. That tracks shouldn't have second dates. But if they want to add a third or fourth date at Darlington, go for it, man.
Well, we had that during the pandemic. Remember, we were racing there all the time.
This place is awesome, man. I tell you, it's just, and having been able to experience it this weekend, from a fan perspective, it's a great track. From being in the infield, it's a great track. From everything, I mean, just all around racing. I mean, there's when they go single file here, it's not boring because they're bouncing off the freaking wall. I mean, it's nuts. It's just incredible. Absolutely wonderful track.
I mean, that was, there's so much to like, especially a track that's hard to drive, and then you put it at 500 miles, which we've all said, like, yeah, we could shorten races, but
don't shorten this one.
If this race is, if this is a 400-mile race, it's a JGR win.
Yep.
So there is room for the 500 mile races, especially when you make it hard on the drivers, and that's all we've wanted for, forever, is to make these cars hard on these drivers.
Dude, this sucker was long. Being there, it was long. Holy crap.
Well, we don't go to 500-mile races around here. We're used to those cushy 400-mile races.
Yeah. Just I mean, just absolutely great track. If you've never been to Darlington, put it on your list. Get out there. Certainly worth checking out.
Eric, we have before we go any further.
Yeah.
We have news.
Yeah, we do.
Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
NASCAR is already issuing an update to help mitigate a fire risk. As a notice went out to the teams this evening, a piece will be added to the rocker boxes for this coming weekend. The piece will be available from the suppliers in the morning. The teams can now install them tomorrow.
Good job, NASCAR.
There you go.
I mean,
quick response, Kevin Harvick.
There was no other thing that NASCAR could do here. I mean, they had to do this.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Good deal.
So yeah, there is it's called a backstop panel material. It is a mandatory. Lower front section of the right side of the backstop panel must be trimmed as indicated in the photo. There's a photo on Twitter. If this section is removed, it must be replaced by a 14 gauge stainless steel panel. The steel panel must be mounted inboard the polymer panel. So I am speaking a bunch of gibberish to people. But there's, let me see. This is all live, people. It's happening live. Exhaust installation. No real change there. So the recommended clearance, though, there is a new recommended clearance that the exhaust in the floor of the rocker box is maximized. So it's a recommended, not mandatory, recommended clearance.
Do you know why it's called a rocker box?
Hit me.
It comes from a part on an old wagon that was pulled behind horses.
There you go.
I learned that on Sirius yesterday, too.
There you go.
I don't remember which show it was, but I learned that.
Fantastic. Good work. Look at you. 13-hour drive did you good, Eric.
I learned stuff, man. I learned how to stay awake for 13. I didn't even have an energy drink. I did drink plenty of Mountain Dew. No sun drops on the trip. I had enough of those at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, Pound and Sundrop. They must have made more money that night than they've made in a long time. I haven't thought of Sundrop soda in 25 years.
I only had 2 at the track, but they were good. Soda. That was the first time I've ever had a Sundrop. I never had one before.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Sundrop soda. Wow.
Yep. Anyway, so yeah. Anything else with the Cup Series? James, I just tweeted something too since you drew me to Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah, so got to go back to it. Joey Cohen, who is the competition director at Petty GMS, tweeted a picture of what the shop looked like at Petty GMS on July 2nd, 2021. It is literally an empty shop with 1 race car in it. And then he also added to that what it looks like today. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just a reminder, again, this is a brand new team.
Well, I'm glad you did that because it brought up a point I wanted to make. The celebration for Eric Jones, there was so few people in that victory lane.
Yeah.
I'm used to, you're used to seeing the big teams win, and there's people all over the place, press, media, all the crew members and things. That was a small group. It was really cool to see that happening. I loved that.
Very cool.
Yep.
Third victory in 210 Cup Series races for Eric Jones. First victory of the season. Second victory and 7th top 10 finish in 10 races at Darlington Raceway. So that stat kind of shows you it's not a big surprise. Austin Cindric, highest finishing rookie in this race, 16th place. And Joey Logano is your points leader by 6 points over William Byron in the points.
Yeah, Bill. Let's go.
There you go. And before we put Darlington in the rearview mirror, we got to talk about that hell of a finish on Saturday night.
And who was involved in that 3-man scrum?
Well, it was Kyle Larson, Noah Gregson.
Yes, it was.
And
Sheldon Creed.
There you go.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, man, I got to watch it out the window of the press box, and they all piled into the wall right in front of me on that last lap in the last turn. What a finish, man. So first of all, let me say this. 200 miles in an Xfinity race at Darlington, even with a 2-hour, 3-hour rain delay in the middle of it. Nice short race, man. It's just fun. It's just action the whole way. There's no time to settle, to relax. It is balls out all the way around every lap. And it showed. It was a great race, and nothing better than that finish. That was a classic Darlington finish.
Man.
Any thoughts on the finish, James?
When Creed powered up into the corner in turn 3 and just started riding the wall, I got giddy. Like, I was like, this is fantastic. I mean, we don't see that move too often, but I feel like we're seeing it more and more. But yeah, he knew he wasn't going to make the corner, and he just stuck it in there.
Yeah, tires were down, man. He yeah, like you said, couldn't make the turn, so just throttled up. We should mention
Noah Gregson did win. By the way. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
Noah Gregson won and almost knocked himself out with the smoke from the exhaust or from the tires doing the burnout.
He's a wild man. He is like the second coming of Tim Richmond in some ways.
He wants to be.
He's just. Did you see the picture he posted? He had his fire suit opened up and his belly was popping out and he put a smiley face on it.
Oh jeez.
And I'm like, what are you doing? No. I'm looking forward to having him in the Cup Series. Man, I hope he can perform.
I hope so. But,
I
will say,
man, what a finish
of the JRM drivers during qualifying in the Xfinity race. I will say that I'm trying to think. Who am I thinking of? Anyway, of the JRM drivers, he did take time to sign autographs after his qualifying run, which was nice.
Yep.
Allgaier took off, ran to his hauler. But Noah signed some autographs, so that was cool, and got to sign one for the boys who were down there.
Yeah, so the boys got to meet. So we had that spectacular finish with Kyle Larson and those guys. And
Yeah.
they were doing it. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It was fantastic.
Oh, it's incredible.
But you got to experience the race kind of as a fan, and the boys got to have a whole bunch of fun with the drivers in the Xfinity series.
Yeah, it was a perfect mix for me. We went. The boys got hooked up by our buddy who works for NASCAR and got some press passes, VIP passes, cold passes for the garage, which got them in the Xfinity garage, and they got to meet some of the drivers, get some autographs before the race. They thought that was pretty cool. Got to stand by cars as they roared by in the garage, back to their garage stalls. Got to stand in victory lane at Darlington. I'll mention another thing, but it's gonna be in my shout out at the end. But yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. And then my wife took them up to the stands. I went up to the press box to watch the race, and they got to sit out. They got to sit out the rain delay under the stands in the pouring rain.
Boy.
While I sat in the press box in air conditioning, but
good work, Eric.
So that didn't feel. Well, if the press box would have been on the front stretch, I would have come down. But it was it was really, really difficult to get to them from where I was. But they had fun. The boys found some water pouring down the grandstands, and were running through it. They were completely soaked at the end of the race.
Yep.
They had a blast. They had tons of fun, and I mean, again, you can't complain about that finish. They were pretty excited about that too. So and one of them was cheering for Noah Gragson, so they were happy that Gragson got the win. So and they got to meet Sheldon Creed before the race too. So got to meet both those guys.
You're forever tied to Sheldon Creed because of my love for that sounder, and now your boys are fans of Sheldon Creed.
Yeah,
so.
So here's the thing. I wanted to comment on this finish real quick. Props to Sheldon Creed for not being upset. If I was Sheldon Creed, I'd be pissed. Because Larson, I get it. Larson entered this race to win the race, but Larson took Sheldon Creed out of the playoffs with his moves. And I think it's just as much Sheldon's fault because Sheldon did hang in there, and he's the reason that Larson slid up and got into him. But props to Sheldon Creed for being cool about it, shaking his hand after the race, and being in a good mood about it, and not being all pissy for getting wrecked.
Yeah, you race to race. I kind of like it. I kind of like that Larson didn't, I felt like Larson did race him. He didn't, he was rough, but not to the, he wasn't overly rough.
Here's the deal, though. How many times, this is a NASCAR Cup Series champion. This is one of the best drivers in the world right now. How many times has he done the same thing? How many times has he had a chance to win, went in over his head, did something stupid, and hit the wall, and finished, where did he finish, 6th? 5th?
Yeah, he backslid into 6th, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how many times does he do this crap? He does it all the time.
Yeah, well, he's trying to win the race.
Yeah, whatever.
He ain't racing for points.
Whatever.
First or last, Ricky Bobby.
It was a good race, and I mean, like I said, I don't think Larson did anything wrong. But if I was Sheldon, I'd have been pretty ticked off over it. Cost him his first win, cost him a playoff chance.
He was probably just thrilled that he was involved in such an incredible race.
Well, I mean, considering the way they've been running recently, he was just happy to be in the mix. So
yep.
But great finish, absolutely great finish. Sheldon is outside the playoffs, looking in right now, and needs the win, man. Needs it.
Yep.
They lock in after this race in Kansas this weekend. So, anything else with the Xfinity race worth talking about? How about Anthony Alfredo, who wrecked under caution while he was puking in his helmet?
Oh man, that's up there, man.
He was gonna be my jackass until I found out he was sick in the car. It's still kind of jackassy because probably should know that he's coming up on the field.
Yeah, too much Alfredo sauce. Hey, ding. Yeah, that's up there with a driver who shall not be named who won a race at Watkins Glen and had to change his fire suit once a long time ago.
I will say that Alfredo said after the race he doesn't know how Noah does it.
Yeah, I did catch that. I caught that one comment. That was a good comment. That was good.
It was definitely one of those weird things at the track. I mean, we had no idea what the heck happened, and then I think it was Bob Pockers who got the story over TV, so that was cool.
Yeah.
That is Noah Gregson's 4th victory in 2022. Let's see. Sheldon Creed was the highest finishing rookie.
Sheldon Creed.
AJ Allmendinger leads the point standings by 51 points over Ty Gibbs. I believe didn't Ty gain a little bit on this one? Just a little bit?
A little bit, but yeah, not much. It looks like it's pretty much AJ. We got 2 races to go, but AJ's going to win the regular season championship here.
There you go. Yeah, both AJ and Ty took off too and did not sign autographs after their qualifying run, just for the record.
Oh, well. Ty had things to do, man. He's pulling double duty all weekend.
Yeah, whatever.
Well,
I forgave Ty because he was going to get in the Cup car, but
there is a certain most popular driver who threw a hissy fit on Sunday after his damaged vehicle policy and did not go to the care center like he was supposed to. And I thought to myself, if that was a Toyota Camry with an M&M on it, I think fans would probably make a little bit more of a stink about that happening.
Losing their minds.
Yeah, so it's all about your reputation, I guess. You build it over time. So people remember how you make them feel. Just remember that, drivers listening to this podcast.
Right, all none of them.
All none of them.
Not much in the news, James, but NASCAR announced today they will return to Nashville for championship week. Not a surprise there. I think that's worked out pretty well.
They like that.
Yep, Nashville's a good place for it, and obviously we're racing out there again, so that's good. So not really much to discuss there. I guess the only other news item that I'll mention is probably a good place to point this out. Dale Jr. manages to race to 3rd with the Cars Tour Series at North Wilkesboro for the Racetrack Revival, a sellout crowd at North Wilkesboro Speedway. I was there, and it was incredible, absolutely incredible to walk into that place. James, I did not.
What a week you had.
I did not expect the feeling I was going to get walking into that place. Like, I have and I wrote a column about it for my newspaper, the newspaper I work for, and I'll try to stick it in the show notes so you guys can read it if you want to. There is a paywall, so I apologize for that, but you get free articles if you haven't visited the site a bunch, so you can check it out. Anyway, I have no connection to North Wilkesboro Speedway whatsoever. The only connection I have to it is watching its deterioration over the years through YouTube videos and stories and whatnot. I guess maybe I have a little bit of a connection to it through Dale Jr. because I've really, bought into a lot of his historical context of things and the stuff that he's done with Dirty Mo Media and Lost Speedways and all that stuff. So maybe there's some connection there, but I mean, really, it's not like Tri-City here locally that when they brought that back and anything. Never been to a race there. I remember watching the 96 race, but really didn't watch much racing there. Hell, I didn't even like the track in the racing games that I played. So just no reason to feel the way I felt walking in there. But to walk into that place, the way they did it, instead of putting paint on everything and trying to make a worn out track look nice, they just made it to where it wasn't dangerous. And they left the NASCAR Winston Cup sign faded on the back of the building. They left the old North. Nothing was repainted. It just looked like an old track that a bunch of people decided to show up to. More than 20,000 people decided to show up to watch a race. And coming up that hill to walk into that place and stepping foot and seeing that track for the first time, my God, man, I got chills like I've never gotten chills before.
That is so cool.
It was so incredible. And I've talked about that feeling you get when you get to a track the first time and you see the stands coming over and everything, but nothing like this, man. It was so cool to be there for this race.
You got a chance to be with the Ghosts all week.
Yeah.
You stepped into the hallowed grounds of North Wilkesboro where they've been, the historical ghosts have been sleeping for so long, and now that they've come alive again, and then you got to go to the NASCAR Hall, which has its own thing going on, but then you got to go to Darlington, which is that's got such a storied history, and you walked on the same track as David Pearson and Richard Petty, and I mean, you were living the NASCAR dream, which is it's just awesome, man.
It was cool.
I was pumped for you because it was so cool that you got a chance to do it.
I got to go to Charlotte Motor Speedway too, and I walked on the track at Bowman Gray, James.
Yeah, you did that too. I forgot about it. I mean, it was Eric. You were gone so long, I didn't know if you were coming back.
4 NASCAR tracks I got to see, old and current NASCAR tracks in this week. We almost took a beeline by MIS on the way home just to make it 5, but and could have certainly hit Rockingham on the way home too if I'd have went a little out of the way. But
oh yeah, Rockingham's not too far from there.
No, it's not. It's not. Could have hit Hickory. Hickory was pretty close.
Hickory's close, yep.
But
yeah, when you're down there, you're in the thick of that. That was one of my favorite things. Is you're just in it.
Our first morning in North Carolina, we went to a restaurant, and people behind us were talking about North Wilkesboro and talking about Bowman Gray, and I just felt like I was home. You know, I'd never been to North Carolina before, but I felt like I was home.
What the heck are we doing, man?
I don't know.
So much.
I don't know. I asked my wife. I said, "Would you be willing to move down here if I got a job down here?" She said, "I'd have to, right?" Yeah, maybe I should have brought some resumes.
Your wife, what a saint!
I know she puts up with me. That's enough. I mean, heck,
she went on this trip with you,
right?
Wow.
I mean, dude, we just did NASCAR stuff the whole time.
I feel like you owe her like another honeymoon or something.
She doesn't even watch the races, and she loved going to the shops though. So I mean, I think I mentioned on the podcast last week. We hit so many race shops. 3 days of visiting race shops while we were down here. We went to the Hall of Fame, went to North Wilkesboro for 2 days, went to Darlington for 2 days. They didn't go Sunday because it was too long. But just they put up with all my crap, put up with looking at the old Dale Earnhardt cars and walking through the old Childress shop, all that stuff. It was quite the experience, and the boys complained a bunch, but she didn't complain at all. So.
You know what's funny is I've done 2 stints through North Carolina, and both of them very memorable. But it's just funny that you sent me that picture from Joe Gibbs Racing of Tony Stewart's 2002 Cup, and I was like, dang, they haven't touched that thing. So I probably have that same picture. I don't think they've changed that thing. It's just cool. I mean, I got to go to Charlotte too, which was a lot of fun. But man, it's cool that you got a chance to spread your wings out there and check out a whole bunch of different things. I think that's awesome.
It was fun. Speaking of Kyle Busch, everything was on sale at KBM for 30% off. I don't know if that means anything, but they were clearing out, and all the M&M stuff at JGR was on sale as well.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's sponsor's gone, so there's no reason to hang. That happened to Tony Stewart when he left. I remember I got a bunch of Home Depot crap for. Really cheap, and I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have this anymore,
right?
So
so Kyle said during media day and this weekend at Darlington, an announcement is coming soon.
He said very 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
7 to 10 days.
Did he say 7 to 10 days, or did Bob say 7 to 10 days and he goes, yep?
Yeah,
I feel like he agreed to it, but he was cracking jokes during the media day, talking about the percentage of chances he's going to places, and the best one was when he said, or 3%, like he could be driving the 3 car.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, I would love. I have tons of respect for Austin Dillon, but man, I would love to see them take Dillon and put him in the 8 car and run Kyle Busch in the 3 car, just to see the NASCAR fan base lose their freaking minds.
Yeah, that would be. Richard wouldn't do it, but it would be something.
Lose their minds. Holy cow.
So we have Austin Dillon's. So we didn't put this in the notes, but Austin Dillon's crew chief is leaving.
Okay.
So Austin Dillon will have. There's movement going on. Does that mean, Austin Dillon? Does he get Tyler Reddick's crew chief now? What is that? There's a lot of things going on.
Didn't Adam Stern tweet out today that he thinks that RCR is the leading candidate right now for Kyle?
RCR and colleague are still in the running. Was his?
I saw something about leading candidate. Maybe it wasn't from Adam Stern. Maybe it was somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of the aggregator sites are out of control right now. It's really bad. Yeah, I don't. Man, I have a hard time thinking he's going to Richard Childress, but.
RCR Racing is one of the favorites to land Kyle Busch, but RCR president Tony Galita said he has no comment on the situation Sunday at Darlington.
Yeah, that's
2311 also remain in the mix to sign Bush.
Yeah, that one being one of the favorites is that's they're all favorites, I guess.
Right.
Think of it that way. But.
Well, I think Stuart Haas is still a possibility, but really low on the list now.
Yeah, I think Stuart Haas is probably out of it. Maybe
the thing is, though, I think what it comes down to at this point, I think Kyle's back in the driver's seat on this deal because he's not going to get the money that he wanted. But at this point, I think he's got his choice.
Yeah, I think any of these teams would take Kyle Busch.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to drop. This is one of those things like everybody says that, you know, there's no shot of him going to Hendrick or whatever. But, I mean, when Dale Jr. was available, Hendrick found room for him. And Kyle's in that same situation right now.
Yep.
Somebody's going to find room for him because they're going to get a steal.
I'm sure he's talked to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Kyle Busch is available. You take the meeting.
Yeah, everybody's going to take that meeting.
Yeah, you always take the meeting. You never know.
Well, and you mentioned before we started recording today, he did tweet out a call out to Apple asking to be a product tester. So, you know, Apple could be a sponsor.
I think.
Tell you what, if Apple wanted to, Apple could buy NASCAR.
Yes.
And make every car Kyle Busch's car.
Yeah, and they could have it on their streaming service, and everything would be hunky dory.
Yep, all the cars would be remote control, and Kyle would race them all.
Didn't NASCAR do a April Fool's joke with Google one time? Remember that? The self-driving cars.
Yeah, you're right. They did.
Yep, I remember that. That sticks in my brain for some reason. But
the 2024 NASCAR Xfinity Series, right there.
Yep, there you go.
Self-driving cars. Well, James, we put Darlington in the rearview mirror.
Somehow.
We put North Wilkesboro in the rearview mirror.
Wow.
One thing before we leave North Wilkesboro, I just want to mention that great support for more than 20,000 fans coming out there to that track, packing the stands throughout the entire revival. They're going to do it again when they rip up the asphalt and put dirt down next month. Continue to support that place, guys. You know, I think it might have been Matt Weaver that mentioned that he was part of a racetrack revival not too long ago when they tried to revive Rockingham, and it looked so great. And until this is done, it's not a done deal. So keep supporting it. Keep talking about it. Keep tweeting about it. Make sure everybody knows how interested you are, and when tickets are available, get tickets and go. Tickets were cheap. The food was cheap. The lines were awful, but it was such an experience to be a part of.
What?
And people complaining about having trouble getting to the track because they decided to arrive an hour before the race. So they did the same damn thing at Darlington this week too, James. Don't come to a race an hour before the freaking race. Somebody put on Reddit that, I've been coming for 30 years to Darlington, and I had to wait 15 minutes in line today. It's like, so what? So 30 years of experience, what does that tell you? How'd that work out for you?
That's
Come
right.
early, idiot.
That's right.
Jeez.
Well done.
We got to North Wilkesboro at 4:00 in the afternoon, or 3:00 in the afternoon, and we drove right in. We had a little bit of traffic coming in. We parked and we sat in the car for 2 hours before we went into the track. It was perfect, no problem.
Yep. What was it like when Dale Jr. spun that thing around and did a Polish victory lap?
Until Kyle Busch blew up at Darlington, it was the loudest I've ever heard stands be at a racetrack.
That's.
I mean, the whole thing was just James. So Tuesday it rained, so it delayed the start of. They had one practice session before fans were allowed on the track, and then there was a big long rain delay, and they didn't start practice again until like 7:30 at night, when races were supposed to start. So it really pushed it back, and it was kind of a pain. But so when the Cars Tour went out for their first practice in front of the crowd, and Dale Jr. came out on the track, you would have thought that Dale Jr. just won the race. Everybody stood up with their phones, cheering, clapping, everything. It was nuts to just drive a lap in the late model.
Man.
But I'll tell you what, the old man made himself look good. He ran, right outside the top 10 the whole night, was able to rally at the end and battle up for a third place finish, and had a shot at the win, and maybe a good shot at the win if he wasn't racing his teammate. And I guess I'd be remiss without saying that
Carson Quaffle.
Carson Quaffle, that's right. I was thinking Carson. I couldn't think of his damn last name. Carson Quaffle,
Quaffle,
Dale Jr.'s driver, gets the win.
Yep, the Quaffle name familiar to NASCAR fans.
Yes.
Yep, his dad was a Cup driver for a while.
Yeah.
Got into some legal trouble. We don't have to get into. We won't get into that. But yeah, I saw that last name. I'm like, oh yeah,
yep.
I know. I remember Travis.
So good deal. I mean, it just like I said, absolutely incredible. They did a terrific job out there. I mean, the place is shut down. They're running generators to operate everything. They brought lights in, and it was just cool. It was absolutely cool. And, one of the things you never see on TV, they've talked about it, but you don't experience it until you walk in there, is the fact that track is built into a hill. And the front stretch is downhill to turn 1, and the back stretch is uphill to turn 3. And you can't tell until you're standing there and you walk into that place and you're like, holy crap, that's a big difference. Like, it's downhill, like a lot down into turn 1.
Eric,
Just
do you remember
cool place.
when, during the pandemic, remember that thing that happened with the iRacing?
Mm-hmm.
And they raced at North Wilkesboro?
Mm-hmm.
It was the one thing I turned down. I'm like, I'm going to check that out. I just want to see cars on North Wilkesboro, even if it's virtual. Well, by God, here we are, just over 2 years later.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep, give it another couple. We're going to have a NASCAR series there. Just watch.
What an experience you had. God, I can't get over how much stuff you got in. It's incredible.
It was cool. When I planned it, I joked with my wife about going down to North Wilkesboro to see Dale Jr. race, and she's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, just to go down there to watch a late model race. And then I realized that Darlington was the next weekend. It's like, man, this might work. That'll make it worth it. After going to North Wilkesboro, Darlington was just the icing on the cake. It was not necessary to make this a worthy trip. It was so cool to be there for it. So, very cool. With that, James, the NASCAR, all 3 series head to Kansas Speedway this weekend for racing action. We had, I don't have the picks up in front of me, but you managed to gain a little bit more on me.
Yeah, so I had Noah Gragson. So I got the win on Saturday.
Yeah.
And you had Justin Allgaier, so both had good days. And then I had William Byron, and you had Denny Hamlin. So I squeaked out one more point on you there. So I won by 10 points this week, 104 to 94. And that gives me a 16-point lead total for the season. So.
And that means I get to pick first again this week, which is not my favorite place to be, but I get to. So we start with the Truck Series, which has been off for a couple weeks.
I forgot we have to pick the Truck Series, and I'm scrambling to make sure that because it's been a minute. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check one more time and make sure that I did not pick this driver last time, and I know I didn't.
I got it open, so I'll keep you clear, buddy.
All right,
Don't
so
worry.
I have absolutely no reason to make this pick, James. Absolutely no reason except that it's time. It's time. I'm going with Carson Hocevar to win and get in. To the playoffs.
Make it to the next round, right?
Yes. I said that the Xfinity Series clinches this weekend. They don't. The Truck Series clinches this weekend. This round.
We got 2 races to go before we even get to the Xfinity Series. It's crazy, the Xfinity Series.
So Carson Hocevar is outside looking in right now. He's going to get the win and make it in.
You cracked an opening for me here, so I think I'm going to barge right through.
Go for it.
I'm going to take our spring winner here, who led 108 out of... let me see. How many laps? A lot. He led basically the entire race. Zane Smith. I will take Zane Smith.
There you go.
I thought you were going to take him, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel good about Carson. And there's no reason, because I don't think Carson has a top 10 here, even.
Carson's he's our guilty pleasure pick all year.
Yeah.
We've both picked him quite a bit.
He's my Eric Jones pick. I have a connection there. I want him to win.
Yep.
NASCAR Xfinity Series heads into Kansas as well. Speaking of which, the Truck Series race with the Kansas Lottery 200. The Xfinity Series is the Kansas Lottery 300. And James, I really want to take Gregson here. But his stats are terrible. Four races here, he doesn't have a top 10.
No, the last race here, he did not run good. Looking at it right now. He had that crash. So him and Harrison Burton. I remember that crash.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs. Give me Ty.
You son of a... I don't blame you.
Yeah.
My advantage... So for the fans, or the listeners, I should say, the fans. Jeez.
We don't have those. There is one running right next to me right now, keeping me cool in this room.
That's good. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So you're beating me in the Truck Series and the Cup Series in total points. Where I've got my advantage is the Xfinity Series, and I cannot believe that's the case.
That's funny.
I cannot believe that's the case, but here we are.
I can't believe that I'm beating you in the Cup Series when I do so bad at frickin' fantasy.
Oh, I've had some terrible luck with my fan and with
dude.
my,
I had
my
disqualifications 2 weeks in a row.
I know.
And you're still only 16 points up.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, I can't take Noah Gregson.
Yeah,
so I'm not
that's
gonna
the
do
other
that.
reason I didn't pick Gregson, by the way.
Yeah, so I will. A guy who ran good here didn't win the race last year, but has run good here in the past. I will take AJ Allmendinger. I gotta fight
AJ's
fire
a
with
good
fire,
pick.
man. Yeah, you picked Ty Gibbs. I gotta try to.
I almost went with AJ. I think AJ's going to play it safe because he wants to keep that points lead, but that bodes well for you because he's going to race for points versus the win.
Just don't get in a wreck, you know,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So
the Cup Series is the Hollywood Casino 400. And for
our defending track winner is not in the field.
Yeah,
Kurt Busch will
yeah,
not be
Kurt Busch
there.
won here in the spring. Kyle Busch ran well as well in that race, so I'm going with the brothers sweep at Kansas in 2022, and I'm going Kyle Busch.
KFB. Expecting him to get that. Expecting him to get that.
Redemption?
Monkey off his back.
Yeah, redemption after this week.
His redemption and his new contract.
It's only a 400-mile race, James. The motor should be able to hold out.
Last time you picked Kyle Busch, he was disqualified.
Yeah, right.
So,
damn it. I did pick up the KFB hat at the Kyle Busch Motorsports for the record.
You did go get it?
I
You
did
did
buy
pick it
it.
up?
I took it.
Attaboy.
Yeah. I don't wear
That's
hats
too
very
big.
often, but I had to do it. Had to get it.
That's a good one. I am going to take Bubba Wallace.
You know, that's funny because he was my second choice.
Yeah, so he's racing for something, obviously.
Yes.
The Owners' Championship, and he has been Eric.
Which we also didn't talk about that on the podcast because that change was made after we recorded.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah. So well, let's just hit on it really quick. Bubba Wallace is driving the 45,
Which was confusing as hell on Sunday.
Yeah, they moved Ty Gibbs to the 23. They're gonna try to win. They're gonna try to compete in that Owners' Championship as long as they can. So they put their more experienced driver in the 45. Basically just a number swap. Teams are the same.
Yep.
Number swap in the
Well,
crew
teams
chief
are the
stage.
same except that if you remember correctly, Bubba got Kurt's team when Kurt made the playoffs to try and get Bubba into the playoffs. So technically, it is Kurt's team.
Yes. Yep. Technically, yeah. So they're back in their old number.
Yeah.
Eric Bubba's been running pretty darn good.
Well, he was good in this race too, but they had pit trouble, and obviously his teammate won and dominated.
Yeah. Outside of Watkins Glen, where he was out of the race because of a suspension issue, he has finished going back to Loudon 3rd, 8th, 5th, 2nd, 13th. Then there's that 35th, and then 11th and 9th.
Yeah, no, he's a great pick for this race. Great pick.
He's been running fast, and he's coming back to this track. So I'd like to see if he can put that 45 back in victory lane, and let's get me some points. I'm doing a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit of a reach, but not that much of a reach.
I don't think so. I like I said,
I think he might be a favorite to win this race.
He was my second pick here for sure. I do think the Toyotas are going to run well. And
any of the Gibbs cars are going to be good.
I mean, obviously those playoff guys probably will rise to the top. But Bubba's got nothing to race for but the win, you know? I mean, obviously they got the point steal for them as well.
Yep.
But I mean,
you've
basically taken all the resources from 2311 and thrown it into one team.
Yeah, and I'd say watch out for Ty Gibbs to have a decent run.
Yeah.
He'll probably be pretty good. So
yeah, and then I mean this is also a Highline track, so look for guys like Tyler Reddick to do well here. I mean Reddick, you heard him say earlier, he's looking forward to this race. Guys that can run that high line and are comfortable against the wall.
Yep.
Kyle Larson, you know, those guys are going to excel here too.
Tyler Reddick.
Yep. There you go. Fantasy League, James. What happened there? I will say that at one point in the race, I was second to Barron Speedway, and then all hell broke loose, and I was no longer second.
Yeah, once guys started dropping out with engine problems and things. I was feeling like I was having a good day, and then Truex fell off, and my biggest dumb mistake that I made. I had Eric Jones in my 5 all week. I was like, I'm going to put Eric Jones in my 5. And then practice and qualifying, I looked at the 10-lap averages, and I'm like, I got to find a way to get Truex in my lineup.
Oh,
and
man.
I bumped Jones out like a jackass.
Yeah.
So I was kicking myself for that, but either way, it doesn't matter. I was happy for him. Barron Speedway, big win. 251. He came to play. Justin 713, and the champ is here. All 240 and above. That's your top 3. I was 6th. You were 8th, Eric. Green Eggs and Hamlin gained 7 points on me in the overall championship. So he is 106 behind. I am at 57.01 in first. Green Eggs and Hamlin second. And our boy Ranger has moved into the podium spot, Eric. He is third. Faster the Grass falls to 4th.
Nice.
So less than 100 points behind second is Ranger. Just saying, watch out. He's still coming with 9 races to go.
There you go. I just love that you're so caught up in this battle.
I told you I just want to win it one time. If
So
I never
good.
win it again, that's fine. But I got to get this monkey off my back, and it's
so good.
Yeah, it's starting to become a problem. It's a stress. It's a strain.
Yeah. I was just proud of myself that I remembered to make my picks this week. So
yeah, it's not my proudest thing that I have going on in my life. I'll tell you that. But
I made my picks. I changed them right before the race, and then I actually made a change during the race, and I still sucked. So doesn't really matter. Shout out time, James. I got a shout out. So I mentioned earlier that the boys got to go down in the pits, meet some drivers and stuff, and so. During Xfinity qualifying, basically we hung out at the back of the haulers, and as a driver would come to their hauler, the boys would grab. Most of them have their hero cards out there that you can grab and have them sign. And we were hanging out behind David Starr's hauler, and they grabbed his hero card and walked up to him and asked him to sign. And he asked for a marker, and of course we were totally unprepared for autographs. First of all, as a media member, I'm not supposed to ask for them, but they could because they were not media members.
they're just kids.
Yeah, exactly. And so we didn't have a marker. So David's like, well, let me grab one. I'll be right back. Went up in the hauler. Well, sent somebody into the hauler. They couldn't find one. He went to go up in the hauler. He says, hey, come on in. So invited the boys, my wife and myself, into the hauler, talked to them for a couple minutes, signed like a personal note to them on each of their cards. Super nice guy, just absolutely incredible. Such an experience. Like, first of all, I've been covering NASCAR now for how many years? I've never been in one of the haulers. The boys, obviously, first time being in the pits to get to go in the hauler was, we got to see Dale Earnhardt's hauler at the Richard Childress Museum and the NASCAR Hall of Fame. They've got a hauler set up there.
They do, yeah.
But to see an actual working hauler and walk in there during the race or during qualifying was so cool. Just an absolutely incredible experience. David Starr, great guy. Tweeted at him after the race or after that, thanking him, and he tweeted back. Now I got to pull some strings to get him on the podcast, but very cool.
Dude, yeah, he's been around a long time.
Yeah, he
too.
has.
Just
Ran the truck series for a long time.
Yeah, it was a solid truck series career. He's a 4-time winner in the truck series.
Yep.
He's run the Cup series from time to time. So that's pretty cool.
I know he's in the twilight years of his career, but he's got a couple lifelong fans now with the boys. They were super excited about that. Cool. They will always remember that. So very cool.
He's 54 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ran the truck series last year for Carl Long's team, or the Cup series. And man, yeah, I can't believe he's been around that long.
Yep. So very, very, very cool. Just an incredible experience. So much fun for them to be able to do that. Just in thanks to Buddy Todd too for hooking them up and we got to meet up with Todd too down there and had dinner with him on Friday night, which was very cool. So shout out to Todd, shout out to David Starr for just adding to the incredible experience of Darlington and North Wilkesboro this week.
That's awesome. Shout out for me. Yeah, my shout out is the people who did the pyro when the green flag dropped that NASCAR was not happy about.
Yeah, the people who didn't follow directions and shot them off too late.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
do that more often,
dude. It was so it reminded me of Supercross, James. When you go to a Supercross race, there's fire on top of the starting gates for the main events. They take off and the fire explodes, and that's the type of stuff that NASCAR needs to do to get the younger people into it. Don't be afraid to shoot that stuff off during the race. That was so cool. I thought it was intentional.
Yeah, it looked intentional because they were going as the cars were going around the corner. It was awesome. How cool was that, man?
Right? That was awesome. Man. That was awesome.
Another shout out I had just real quick was the call of the Xfinity Series race from MRN Radio. I tweeted that. That's just beautiful. It's just
everything
it's just
they do.
Music.
So,
it's just music.
So James, the coolest thing, and I know you've been to the Hall of Fame, so maybe you got to experience it. But one of the coolest exhibits they have at the Hall of Fame is they have a media exhibit, and you get to sit down at a TV screen.
Yep, I've done this.
And they have you get to be a member of the MRN crew, and they do it the right way. They have the corner camera. And they tell you when to start talking as the cars come around, and you get to call that corner for 2 laps of a race. And I did it with my son Ethan, and he tried. They put a script up for you to read, but you can just call it yourself if you want to. And I called it because I've got some experience doing it. It's still really, really hard to do. And I knew the race. I'd seen the race before and still had trouble doing it. But he was struggling trying to read the thing and just had a terrible time and thought it was the coolest thing in the world that I could do it. But just a really cool experience to pretend to be an MRN broadcaster at that moment. It's very cool.
That's a cool exhibit. I tried doing it, and I was terrible at it.
They had something like that at Daytona USA back in the day, but it was terribly done. And the way they did it here is perfect. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really well done, yeah.
Definitely recommend the Hall of Fame for anybody. I will say the one thing about it, James, and I don't know if you felt the same way when you went, to me, and maybe it's because of where I'm at. So NASCAR to me is Michigan International Speedway. That's my experience with NASCAR. My experience with NASCAR is this racetrack out in the middle of freaking nowhere, nowhere near a city whatsoever. It's 45 minutes out of Ann Arbor. It's 40 minutes out of Jackson, out in the middle of nowhere. To go to the Hall of Fame in downtown Charlotte, a major city, major metropolitan city, kind of felt to me like it was out of place. Like we're trying to fit in here in this city environment. That being said, there is some cool stuff in there. They've done a great job with it. The like I said, the MRN exhibit, they've got so many historical cars in there, and they change those up all the time. Got to see Bubba Wallace's Talladega win, which was pretty cool. The actual Hall of Fame, Hall of Champions, or whatever they call it, is really, really neat. They've got Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Daytona 500 winning car in there right now for his Hall of Fame induction. They got a Mike Stefanik car in there. It's just they do a terrific job with it. I highly recommend it. It's a money grab. It's expensive to go. You got to pay for parking and all that crap. It's just it doesn't feel very NASCAR until you get in there and you get to see all that stuff. They give you a hard card that you keep track of your stuff with, and it's a little corny, but for kids it's great.
Mine.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
For kids it's great, and it's a really cool experience. I probably will never do it again, but to do it once, it's definitely worth doing. So
yeah,
if you're in the Charlotte area, check it out. Definitely worth it. Support it, because without the support, it won't stick around, and we want it to stick around. So
yep, absolutely.
I've seen a lot of great museums die because people didn't support them. So
it's been going strong for almost 12 years now. 13 years.
The NASCAR logo is not on the building anymore, though. They took that down. That's been
they
replaced.
did. I was still there when they had the NASCAR logo on that, but most of the NASCAR stuff is out of there now. So
yeah, I will say that the Richard Childress Museum was absolutely awesome as well. Definitely worth checking out, especially if you're an Earnhardt fan. There's tons of Earnhardt stuff in there. So much Earnhardt. I mean, it's the old Earnhardt shop. I mean, is what it is. And we did the different shop tours. Highly recommend the Junior Motorsports shop tour. They take you right out on the floor. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to go in. You get to go in the studio that they do the Dale Jr. download in. Just a cool experience. I got a picture from behind Dale Jr.'s microphone. So I didn't sit in the chair, but I got a picture behind the mic.
You thought about it.
I did think about it. I thought, like, are they going to throw me out? But anyway, very cool. Very cool. James, you got a jackass this week?
Oh, boy, do I. You mentioned it a little earlier, but the official NASCAR account, congratulations to the first-time playoff drivers with Tyler Reddick, right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, not only in the list, but leading the list.
Leading the list. Tyler Reddick was in the playoffs last year. So, good job, NASCAR. They deleted it within a few minutes, but I had the screen grab and tweeted it, so I felt good. My inner Bromberg came out, and felt good about it. Felt good about myself to take somebody else down. So that's how I get through my day.
So that's my question. Did you notice it before Nick noticed it?
I did.
See, I don't do that stuff. I don't notice that stuff, and I wish I did.
Yeah, I've caught them a couple of times, like calling. What was the other fan? Kevin Harvick. When Tony Stewart went into the Hall of Fame, I was the result of Tony Stewart's plaque probably getting fixed, honestly. They put down that Tony Stewart was the championship owner of the 2015 champion Kevin Harvick, to which I then tweeted out Kevin Harvick won the 2014 Cup championship, and that was immediately like you would, Eric. It would blow your mind how fast things change when you catch those things. I've done it a couple of times. It's actually kind of fun. So I understand why the internet is the way it is sometimes.
Yeah. You understand why Bromberg is the way he is too.
Oh yeah, he must just feed off of it. He's been pretty quiet lately though. He calmed down in his old age.
Yeah, no, that just means that NASCAR is screwing up less.
Yes, that's well.
They still screw up plenty.
I don't know about that.
They screw up plenty, but they're screwing up less. James, I got a couple on this jackass thing.
Yeah, let's go.
First of all, I got to give it to Rinus VeeKay. If you watched the IndyCar race on Sunday, totally took Jimmy Johnson out, put Jimmy Johnson in the wall in the IndyCar race. Terrible move. He apologized after the race, but what an idiot. I mean,
poor Jimmy.
Yeah, poor Jimmy. Jimmy he's just driving along next to the guy, giving him room, and Rinus just pulls over and wrecks him, puts him in the wall. Just stupid. But my real jackass is Hailie Deegan, James.
Oh, no.
Hailie Deegan is my jackass. So Hailie Deegan participated this weekend in Cletus McFarland's Bristol 1000 at Bristol Motor Speedway. I know very little about Cletus McFarland. My buddy is a big fan of his and actually bought the pay-per-view for this weekend. I guess Cletus does these races, and they race these bomber beat-up race cars, or not race cars, street cars with mediocre roll cages in them. And anyway, this is a 100-lap race at Bristol Motor Speedway with these cars and a bunch of unprofessional drivers, and plus Hailie Deegan for some reason. And the reason Hailie Deegan is jackass is for participating in this ridiculous race.
Oh, Hailie.
She got wrecked coming out of turn 4 at Bristol Motor Speedway, and this car was freaking destroyed. I know you saw the picture of it.
Yes, I did.
There's tons of video on it. She's got it on her YouTube channel as well. She said it was the hardest she's ever hit. Hailie, man, I get it. You're a social media star just as much as you're a race car driver. Don't do this stuff. Get in. Don't be racing in this stuff that's not professionally prepared. The seat's all bent over in this thing. She could have gotten really, really hurt. She's very lucky to walk away with some bruises.
Yeah.
And not be like have a career-ending injury as a result of this stupid race. Leave it to the professionals, guys. There's a reason that NASCAR has put as much time and effort and everything into the safety of these things. I don't think these cars have any business racing with minimum protection around. I mean, we did it. We raced freaking late models here with a bunch of old drivers and about killed somebody with NASCAR a few years ago, and I think they learned their lesson. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not familiar with Cletus and the stuff he does. I guess it's a big deal and whatnot, but Hailie, you got no business doing this stuff. That's just stay in the race cars, the real race cars, and don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. For sure, man. Gosh.
Yeah, she's lucky, man. It was a hell of a hit.
Yep.
Street cars are not meant to go around Bristol Motor Speedway.
No, God, no.
I mean, they were running wide open around this thing. It was like a super speedway for them.
No, thank you.
And then a bozo who freaking wrecked him, and then it has an 18-minute video on YouTube feeling sorry for himself because he's getting hate for wrecking Hailie Deegan and the leader of the race.
Oh my God.
It's like, you've made a stupid move, dude.
It's funny.
That's why you're not a professional race car driver. He might be. He could be a professional race car driver for all I know. I'd never heard of him, but...
Eric, I just saw this video you shared of you standing basically over Denny Hamlin's shoulder.
Yeah.
It's just enjoyable.
Yeah,
That's
I got a little cameo on NBC. So yeah, if you look at if you watch the Denny Hamlin interview, you can see me in the background finishing up with Austin Dillon.
Just a professional, so. just a pure professional.
Yeah, I'm back there with Matt Weaver actually.
Eric, did you know that Derek Winter was at that race?
No, I didn't know that. I knew he was in the Carolinas.
That bastard.
What a jerk for not saying anything.
We're after. I know we should have reached out to him.
Man, he's practically a co-host.
I know. He's coming for my job.
Right?
You guys could have... Honestly, I'm mad because you guys could have done the podcast and I could have got another week off.
Right? Oh, geez. Dude, we already went almost 2 hours. Can you imagine how long I've been with Derek? I love Derek.
Oh.
Love Derek. It would have been long.
It would have been long. This is long. Yeah. It would have been long.
Yeah. Well, James, where can people find you on social media if they want to hit you up during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discussed, past race coverage, photos, and more. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, wherever you found us today. We hope you subscribe and continue to listen for new episodes each week. I'm done with race coverage for the year. No more trips for me. I'm hoping to hit a few next year. Waiting for NASCAR to release the schedule to see what the hell races are going to be possible. But definitely back on the road next year. Get a few more than just 2. But I got my fill this year. With that, NASCAR heads to Kansas Speedway this weekend for the second race of round 1 of the Cup Series playoffs. The clincher for the Truck Series for their first round, and NASCAR Xfinity Series has one more to go before they start their playoffs. We'll be back next week to break it all down and preview the race weekend at Bristol. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.